hustling.
Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, where aspiring part-time entrepreneurs learn how to turn their side hustle dreams into reality. Because your 9 to 5 may make you a living, but your 5 to 9 makes you alive. And now, your host, Nick Loper.
Hey everybody, Nick here. Welcome to the Side Hustle Show. This is episode 20, the big 2-0. Wow, thank you so much for listening and investing some of your very precious time with me. The response to the show has been more than I ever could have imagined. So today's show is a little bit of a different format in that our guest shares the tactics he uses not necessarily for his own side hustle, but for his clients. So Adam Steele is the founder of Nightlight Media, an online marketing agency in Vancouver, Canada, and he's going to share the nitty-gritty details on how he helps his clients rank well in Google local search and generate massive leads for their business. So one quick shout before we get started for a new 5-star iTunes review. Herbie from BillionSuccess.com says, great show to learn how to build a side business while keeping your day job. The name says it all. So thank you so much for that. And if you're enjoying this free content, do me a favor and head on over to iTunes and drop in a quick review. It'll only take a minute and you'll get a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling from it. I promise. So I think I mentioned this on the show before, but the side hustle bug in this house is contagious. My wife, Bryn, and her friend have started a wedding photography business on the side. And I mention this only because I use their new business as an example to get shameless free consulting from Adam in this call. Check it out. Adam, welcome to the Side Hustle Show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Nick.
Awesome. I think this is going to be a great show. We're going to learn all about how to bend the wheel of the internet to bring tons of local leads to your doorstep. So Adam is the owner of Nightlight Media and leanmarketing.ca. He's an SEO ninja and a true side hustle hero. So Adam, can you give us a quick background, kind of tell us about the path that led to starting these companies and where you're at today?
Yeah, okay. So I got started pretty well in September 2010, but got a little bit more serious or really started to make any money in November 2010. But the goal was to start an agency. I picked out the name for Nightlight Media sort of well in advance, and I had some idea. I was working for an affiliate marketing marketing network at one period of time called Neverblue.
Oh, okay.
And so I was exposed to all this stuff for the very first time in the, summer of 2010. And then I thought, oh, yeah, look at all these guys making money. I bet I could do this too. And so, I'm seeing these guys bringing in, easy 5 figures a month. Sometimes, with some of the bigger like mailers and stuff like that, they're bringing in 6 figures like that. That could be me. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, real ambitious. So I go out on I left that position, went out on my own, and figured that I could either do that for myself or do that for local businesses. So I think that in my mind there was some crossover. There were some opportunities where people were promoting offers in affiliate marketing where I could promote things in a very similar manner, SEO, for example, or social media, for example, like FB ads or something, where I could do that, but instead of promoting offers, I'd be promoting my clients. That was sort of my mindset, and I figured, it can't be too hard. I read Wicked Fire a couple times, so how hard could this be? So just sort of on a whim, I went and did this, and
so you went all in. You went all in from the beginning. Your agency was not a side hustle. It was like, I'm going to quit and start this, full time.
Pretty much. First while was pretty rough. I'll tell you that much. My credit card just got beaten the crap out of.
Okay. So let's say the people listening have a side hustle with kind of a local element. And so you kind of become an expert on, helping local businesses get exposure, get leads from the search engines, from Google specifically. And maybe this is not as sexy as like the location independent, the digital nomad lifestyle that, is on the cover of every 4-hour work week book and other book that's out there. But let's say you've got a local side hustle or business with like a local element. Like my wife and her friend have started this wedding photography business, for example. What are the first steps that they should take to generate like local leads? They want to shoot, weddings in Livermore, California. Like, what are their first steps to get started down that path?
Well, with a local business like that, I think it's tremendously important to be in Google Places, or be in Google Plus Local, as it's now called. There's a lot of value there. More and more, Google is changing the SERP landscape, and local is getting a much bigger piece of the pie year after year. And so it's becoming a much more dominating or a much bigger force to be reckoned with, where organic search results are constantly competing for space for local queries. And so I would recommend that she would do that first. I'd recommend that she start creating some social or some local signals, things like citations, so name, address, phone number appearing on different sites online, not necessarily local business directories. And if I don't know too much about the wedding photo niche. I've only worked in it once, and it was in sort of a small city, but it's not especially competitive. And if she goes down that road and applies some sort of organic strategy to it as well, some sort of link building strategy to it, she could be very successful. I don't know what the search volume is, of course.
So it's called Google Places is now Google Plus Local. And this is another attempt of them to blackmail everybody into using their social network that nobody wants to use. But so if this is a home-based business, like most side hustles, what do you do like if you don't want to put your home address like up on the internet for everybody to see?
Yeah, it's a pretty darn good point. In the past, I've been a big pusher of solutions like UPS addresses, where you go and get a UPS box, you rent that out, you have to buy usually 3 months in advance, and you cancel it after 3 months once you've received the postcard, because you don't really need it after that.
Okay.
I've pushed that a lot in the past. I don't push it as much now, because there is, these days SEO isn't cheap. We do invest a tremendous amount into our campaigns, and if for some reason Google is able to pair our address up with a Container Store, or like Container Store is it's an umbrella for situations like UPS boxes,
like a virtual office kind of setup.
Exactly. Okay. It is against guidelines, and you can get nailed for it. And if you've invested a ton of money into that and a ton of effort, and all of a sudden leads stop pouring in because you violated guidelines and Google catches you, then you're kind of screwed. So it's kind of a short-sighted solution. It works well if you're sort of more churn and burn, but I don't know. I am getting a little bit more paranoid these days, and I'm not sure I'm not sure I would continue to recommend it. So what I do recommend is a shared space. Of course, not like a co-working space is great. Actually, these are popping up everywhere. Incubator type situations. So I've used those more recently. Those seem to be less so on Google's radar, which is awesome.
Okay.
But even better, split a space with if someone's got some excess office space, rent a room from them, because that's legit. In Google's mind, that's actually legit. And you're not going to get I can't say you're not going to get in trouble for it. Who knows with Google, but it's actually, that would meet guidelines and you'd be safe there. And it may cost a little bit more money than the other setups I spoke about. But for your wife, for example, I'd probably go with something like that, or I'd go with something like a co-working space.
Okay, cool. So the co-working space, is it typically like a monthly subscription, or can you like just do drop-in and then just never happen to drop in?
You could probably, it depends. They're all a little bit different. Some rent mailboxes, some where you don't get a desk or anything. Some you rent a desk and you pay a monthly. Some you pay for like a punch card. So hot desking, I think they call it. And I don't know with hot desking you actually get to use their mail service at all. Flyers or something. Okay.
Like that. So this is Google is physically sending a postcard to these places to verify them. Yeah,
it has been for a while. It used to be phone verification, but they've, with I could have just got a virtual number, right, in a specific area code of the specific city I want to be listed in, make up a fake address, and then send for phone verification. Have that phone number, that virtual phone number, forward to my cell phone, and I've got a Google Places page.
Gotcha.
So that's what was being done, and that's why Google had to step in and create something a little bit harder to get past.
Okay. Now, for the phone number situation, do you still because say similar to the address, you might not want your cell phone number, up on the internet for everyone to see. Would it be okay to set up a Google Voice number and just, use that as your local line, even if, and kind of just set up a professional voicemail on there?
Yeah, actually, I want to just quickly touch back on your wife's situation. She can actually hide her address. So if she wanted to use her home address, it actually goes against guidelines, and she could get, the listing could get killed for it. She can hide her address, which doesn't really solve the guideline problem, but at least sort of solves the problem where people, don't show up at your home address. Granted, if you're creating citations, the citations have your home address in them too, so that. It's not a perfect solution or anything. But as far as the phone number is concerned, I tend, you mentioned Google Voice. I'm a little bit, I'm just really paranoid. So when it comes to things like using Google services for a phone number that I'm later going to plop into their Google Places and say that that's a legit number, I don't really want to give them any information that I have to. So I'd usually use something like we use Twilio, which is you can get a number for a buck or something a month, and minutes are pretty darn cheap, and you can just forward those numbers and such. There's all kinds of other options. If you're in the States, I think you can get away with a Skype number pretty easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
On Google Plus Local, so we got to get used to saying that. You can hide your address, and that's totally cool. That seems kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah, you can. In some situations, they actually recommend that you do so. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Some people just don't. It does seem counterintuitive. In fact, I've never even really looked at it that way, but it really kind of is in some cases. But
okay, so that's a cool option, though.
Yeah, it is. I think so.
Before we go into some of this other stuff, you've talked a lot about citations, and I'm not super familiar with what those are. So can you kind of give the overview? What do you mean by citations?
Yeah, so citation by definition is just name, address, phone number. Just an occurrence of your business information online. That's it. There's a common misconception that a citation is actually a local business directory. While that's a popular form of citation, it isn't one by definition. So there was a time where I saw other people doing blog comments with name, address, phone number. And we actually did a bunch of scraping to find out where people were getting their citations, and I can tell you they weren't just appearing on blog posts and local business directories. We found them everywhere. So people are getting creative where they put their citations, and it's smart. And I always recommend that if not only should you be submitting to local business directories and other sort of local signal type sites, but when you're doing your organic link building, it's think local. If you're doing a blog post, if you're doing a guest post, for example, and they give you freedom to write what you want, I would, at the base of that article, include name, address, phone number. There you've got a citation, but you've also got an organic link as well.
Okay. So what's the advantage of doing these citations, like just filling in name, address, phone number on a bunch of random sites? What does that get you?
Well, for local, so there's a local algorithm, which is different from the organic algorithm. The local algorithm there's different things that appeal to it, and one of those things are these citations. That's one of the ranking factors for that particular algorithm, and it's a real meat and potato item for rank. It's a pretty well the basis for ranking in the local algorithm. So it's pretty essential, actually.
So trying to
get, I can get away with I can get by in some niches in some cities, but generally speaking, it's pretty essential.
Okay, and that's an example where you would have to obviously publicize the address because that's half of the citation.
Exactly.
Okay. So Adam's actually got a list of 500 plus local citation sources that you can grab on leanmarketing.ca, for just your email address. So I think that's a very valuable resource if anybody is looking to get into that without having to do all the research on your own. I know a lot of painstaking work went into that. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, we've got lists for the UK and Canada and the United States as well as in some cases they're broken down by which ones we recommend for a particular niche or a particular city as well. So
okay, cool. For a local business like that's super small like this one, like a side hustle, how important is it to have social accounts like a Twitter or Facebook page? Will any of that stuff necessarily help your local rankings?
Well, there's a lot of talk out there, especially recently with regards to Google Plus. A lot of talk about there of whether or not this is a ranking factor, whether the social activity is a ranking factor, especially like I said, Google Plus. You'd think being a Google property would help out your website if you're active on it, but I haven't seen any real proof of it. I think so. I do it. I mentioned in that post I did on lean marketing, my secret formula to local lead generation. It's all about looking like a brand, and brands have social efforts. Brands have blogs. Google is giving preference to brands, so why not play it like that? Why not try and be a brand? And it doesn't take you don't have to hire a social media strategist or something like that. You just grab a Hootsuite account, create accounts on Twitter, Google Plus, maybe Facebook if you want. I tend to just focus on Twitter and Google Plus, and you hook them up with your Hootsuite account, and just I would create an RSS feed, and I would just add a whole bunch of relevant blogs, and then I would just cherry pick from that list, queue them all up for a week or two, a few posts a day, a couple posts a day, and you're good to go. You've got a social effort. I mean, it's not something that's really going to drive any leads. It's not something that's going to really make you any money or anything, but I think it does appease whatever part of that possible ranking factor that could help, that might end up helping you rank. And I think it also, when one goes one step further, and it humanizes your effort.
But yeah, just it sends that signal, even without a lot of effort, the way you just describe with the RSS, set it up to either with Buffer or Hootsuite, and just get it done. Once a week, once every couple weeks. Super smart. So on the website itself, so they have some, like, what should they put on there to, like, send the signals? And I believe it says Livermore wedding photography at the top or something. But are there other things they can add or so I just got back from the Affiliate Summit conference, and there was a lot of talk about Schema and kind of this microdata markup. Is that something that's important for these guys?
Yeah, I don't know if I would go as far as to say it's a ranking factor or anything like that. I think it's it does sort of two real important things. It helps create information that's more easily digested by Google and other search engines. So if you help them understand what you're showing them, I think things will make a lot more sense to those search engines, and you can have them. Things just won't get missed, I suppose. They won't mistake one thing for another. So what you put on your website gets properly represented. In a way, you get the points you are due for whatever you're doing. Second, and probably more importantly, something like review markup or testimonial markup or authorship markup. Having your picture, or having those stars appear next to your search results will improve your click-through rate. Will improve how many people actually see your listing. It really stands out as you know, and it creates a little bit of trust and credibility. So I definitely would recommend it. I think everybody's got to have it.
Okay, and so that's something that is pretty easy to do with I think the resource is schema.org. You can kind of go there and find out how to get all that stuff. And then there's some different posts on how to do the Google Plus authorship markup, which is also very, very useful, like you said, because you get your little mugshot right next to your search results, which helps your click-through rate. Even if it doesn't help necessarily your ranking, it can help, make the listing look more attractive on the page.
I've seen people who use sexy ladies. It's hilarious. I don't know how long it actually lasts for, but I would have to bet it improves CTR.
That's their profile picture.
Yeah, too funny.
Awesome. So next, I noticed you recommended putting kind of building some trust factors on the page itself, and one of the things you had listed was a map, or just Google Map. And it doesn't necessarily need to be your exact address, but you can kind of like ballpark it in there, just to instill that confidence that, hey, this is a local business, we're in your neighborhood, and you should do business with us. The other thing you mentioned was testimonials from previous clients, and being a photography business, they'll have the whole portfolio of different shots that they've taken. But I think the testimonials from those previous brides is always a good thing. Would you go about soliciting those in any meaningful way to put them on the page? Would you do videos, or would you just do text?
You want to put all your cards on the table, right? You want to drive home the point that you are the best at what you do. And things like testimonials, video and text, trust icons, social icons. I've seen people do silly stuff like as seen on, and then they put Yelp beside it instead of you'd expect like New York Times or something, but they put Yelp, and that's something they fabricated themselves.
Okay. As seen on Yelp, yes. As seen on.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
As seen on Yellow Pages or something.
Yeah, or people might say, reviews from around the web, and there'd be some icons in Google Places or Google Plus Local or Yelp or Insider Pages or something like that. So you really want to drive home the point that you rock. But also, and a lot of this, you need to try and send as many sort of locality signals as possible to Google. You really, 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 really want to drive home the point that you are local, that you service this area, that you've been here forever, that people have been writing about you, you've been serving all kinds of people, you're an institution in that area, and you almost create a resource page practically, is sort of what I was aiming at.
Yeah, and we'll link to all that so you can have all the notes. We'll put that in the show notes on the Side Hustle Nation site. So the whole point of this is to generate leads. Do you have any contact form best practices? We're going to send all these trust signals, so we're going to rank high, and then once people get to the website, they're going to say, all right, this is a legit business, I want to do business with them. Now the most important part is contact us. Any best practices for that? Well,
I would recommend, first of all, that you create as many possibilities for them to contact you. I mean, some people see a phone number and they don't want to call you. They just want to email you. So if you don't provide an email, you're not going to hear from them. So provide an email, provide a phone number, provide a contact. In our industry, I have people add me on Skype all the time and then buy stuff from me. So just create as many opportunities, appeal to as many people as possible by providing these different types of ways to contact you.
Cool. Yeah, the biggest thing, I think, from my experience is to test it, make sure it works. I found out months later that my contact form on one of my sites was broken. I don't know what happened, so I ended up just removing it and just say, hey, look, you can send me an email. Just don't mess with the form. So I just took it down because it wasn't working.
Yeah, and I would put it on all your main landing pages. Don't just have a contact page and then no contact page on your home page. People don't have a lot of time. They don't want to have to find your contact page or your phone number or whatever. So get it up in front of their face as soon as possible, so they don't have to decide which site is easier to contact. They got 5 sites open, 4 of your competitors. You don't want them to spend time trying to figure out how to contact you. You want to make it real easy, which is why oftentimes I put my phone number in the meta description, so they don't even have to visit my site if they don't want to. Especially for for services that are more emergency type services, like a restoration company. You could have a flood. You don't really have a lot of time to do research on the company. You're calling them right away because you got to get them in there to fix your house.
Okay.
It's not it's not habitable anymore.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. Put that phone number so that shows up directly in the search results versus them having to come to your site and dig around and find it.
Yeah, I think for mobile phones, it might even be, and here's another thing, for mobile phones, I think even if you have your phone number in the search end results, it might actually be clickable. And if not, make sure that your phone number is, for lack of a better word, clickable on your website.
Right, for mobile search, definitely.
Absolutely.
Do you find it's valuable for kind of these local businesses to have an extensive blog on their own site? Do they need to be creating a ton of content to rank well? Yeah,
again, I think it humanizes the site. I think you're portraying yourself more as a big brand if you have regular content being posted on your site. How much content per week? I don't think there's a real number. I try and do 2 to 3 posts per week. It's a great way to, as everybody knows, to get long tail traffic. So you do some long tail keyword research, identify some wordy terms with good commercial intent, and work those into your blog posts, or use those to come up with topics for your blog posts. And again, there's another opportunity to create locality and to drive home the point to Google and to any visitors that you are local to that area. You are an authority in your niche and in your area. So a blog can be very valuable for a lot of reasons.
Definitely. So Adam, thanks so much for sharing all this stuff about how to rank well in local. What's next for you? What's next for Nightlight Media?
I don't know, man. We're moving away from a lot of the sort of SMBs and trying our hand at enterprise. We've had the great fortune of picking up a couple of real big businesses with 100 plus, sometimes as many as 1,000 locations, and that's been a real neat challenge for us. And creating scalability when you're dealing with that many locations and having to create 100 citations times 100 locations. Becomes quite a chore. So one of the biggest things that we're focusing on is creating a more scalable business, sort of our back end, our internal processes, being able to pick up these clients and have their stuff building tomorrow, and being able to sleep while it's building, that kind of thing. So a lot of automation stuff. We brought in some phenomenal programmers who are helping us get there.
Gotcha. Well, let's wrap things up. We're going to put you on the spot for your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation, and then kind of do some shameless plugs and tell people where they can find you online.
Well, as depressing as it might be, what you're doing now probably isn't going to what you're going to be doing in a year or maybe 2 years. So I wouldn't depend on whatever you're doing right now is the thing that's going to make you good money or even any money. So with that in mind, diversify as much as you can. Learn other stuff. Try and track trends. See what might be next, and just keep plugging away at it.
Cool. And where can people find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Twitter, or at least I try to be, at Adam G. Steele, Steele. And I'm putting a lot of effort into lean marketing these days. So lean, LEAN, marketing.ca. Always worthy content there, or at least in my opinion.
Definitely.
You posted there, so it must be good.
There's a ton of great stuff there. Definitely worth checking out. Well, Adam, thanks so much for sharing all this stuff, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Nick.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, guys, what did you think? I think just a ton of great stuff in there for any local business on how to work Google to their advantage and generate some massive leads for their side hustle. And I love Adam's call to diversify, because what's working today might not work tomorrow. As a side hustler listening to this podcast, you're already well aware of the importance of diversification, since you're looking for ways to diversify your income streams, just like any smart investor diversifies their portfolio. And unfortunately, this is a lesson I've had to learn the hard way on a couple of different occasions, having too much income percentage-wise come from one source, like 100%. And on the website side of things, relying too much on one source, Google, for traffic. So the call to diversify definitely speaks to me and is one of many reasons I'm here on this podcast. All the show notes for this week are at sidehustlenation.com/episode 20. Go there, check them out, leave a comment, and let me know what you think. Would love to hear from you. Did you know Side Hustle Nation has an email list? Well, you do now. And as a bonus for signing up, I'll send you 57 takeaways from the world's best business books. It's like Cliff Notes for your side hustle. And you can even sign up from your phone. Just go to sidehustlenation.com. Anyway, that's our show. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, go out there and make something happen. And I'll see you next week in episode 21.
Thanks for listening to The Side Hustle Show at www.sidehustlenation.com.